In 2008, a luxury hotel in New York had a guest who stayed there every year. He always booked the same room, he wore plain sweaters, carried an old leather bag, and tipped modestly. The staff assumed he was a retired professor. One day, during a casual conversation, they discovered he owned a business empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The hotel manager later said something interesting. If he walked through the lobby right now, nobody would guess he was wealthy.
That's the thing about old money. It rarely announces itself. It doesn't need to, because families that stay rich for generations play a completely different game than everyone else. They don't just have more money. They have different habits, different rules, different priorities. And these habits quietly compound over decades. In fact, habit number 12 may be the single reason some families stay wealthy for centuries, while others lose everything in one generation. So stay until the end, because by the end of this video, you may realize that the biggest difference between old money and everyone else isn't how much they earn, it's how they think.
Habit number 1. They value privacy more than status. Old money families understand something strange. Attention is expensive. The more people know about your money, the more expectations appear, more comparisons, more requests, more pressure to maintain an image. That's why truly wealthy families often live surprisingly private lives. No constant flexing, no luxury posts every weekend, no need to prove anything. Because money that stays quiet has room to grow. Money seeking validation usually gets spent. And that leads to the second habit. Because old money doesn't just protect its privacy, it protects something even more valuable.
Habit number 2. They protect their time aggressively.
Most people think money creates freedom. Old money thinks freedom is the entire point of money. Watch wealthy families closely. They'll drive an extra 10 minutes to avoid daily traffic, pay for convenience, hire help for repetitive tasks, delegate things they dislike, because they know something many people learn too late. You can always make more money. You cannot make more time. Time is the one asset that compounds only when protected. And once you understand how they value time, you'll understand why they make an unusual decision about spending.
Habit number 3. They spend heavily on few things. Old money isn't cheap, but it's incredibly selective. They'll happily buy a quality mattress, a durable pair of shoes, a good education, excellent health care. But they'll ignore trends that everyone else chases. Because they ask one question: will this improve my life for years? If the answer is no, they often pass. The middle class buys many things of average quality. Old money buys a few things exceptionally well. But perhaps their biggest secret isn't what they buy. It's what they refuse to buy. Habit number 4. They don't buy things to impress strangers. This habit alone can change your financial future. Old money understands that status games never end. You buy a luxury watch, someone buys a better one. You upgrade your car, someone upgrades again. The finish line keeps moving. So old money opts out because they know every dollar spent proving success is one less dollar creating freedom. Their goal isn't admiration, it's independence. Which explains another habit that often surprises people. They raise their children very differently.
Habit number 5. They teach their children how money works early. Many families avoid money conversations. Old money does the opposite. Children learn how investing works, why debt can be dangerous, how businesses make money, the difference between assets and liabilities. Because wealth disappears quickly when the next generation doesn't understand money. Studies have shown that many inherited fortunes are lost within 3 generations. Old money families know this. That's why they teach financial literacy almost like a family language.
But teaching children isn't enough. They also teach something much deeper.
Habit number 6, they delay gratification. Imagine giving a child 2 choices, 1 cookie now or 3 cookies later. Research has repeatedly shown that people who delay gratification often achieve better long-term outcomes. Old money families train this instinct constantly. Invest today, spend later. Save now, enjoy more later. Because wealth itself is delayed gratification. It's sacrificing immediate pleasure for future freedom. And that single habit compounds for decades. But waiting isn't enough, because old money families are extremely careful about one dangerous emotion.
Habit number 7, they don't make money decisions based on ego. Ego is expensive. It buys cars you don't need, houses you can't comfortably afford, clothes meant to impress people you barely know. Old money understands that emotions destroy wealth, so they make decisions slowly, calmly, almost boringly.
They ask, does this actually improve our lives? Or does it simply make us look successful? That question saves fortunes. And speaking of boring, you may hate the next habit, because it's probably the least exciting one on this list, and possibly the most powerful.
Habit number 8, they love boring investments. Index funds, dividend stocks, real estate, businesses with stable cash flow. Nothing glamorous, nothing exciting, no chasing trends, no trying to get rich overnight. Because old money knows that wealth is usually built quietly, slowly, predictably. The world celebrates dramatic success stories. Old money celebrates consistency. Because consistency creates compounding, and compounding creates fortunes. But building wealth is only half the battle. Keeping it is an entirely different skill. Habit number 9, they live below their means, even when they don't have to. This habit confuses people. Why would a millionaire drive an ordinary car? Why stay in the same house for 20 years? Because old money understands something profound. Expenses create obligations. Lower expenses create options. The less your lifestyle costs, the more freedom you have. And freedom is often worth more than luxury. But perhaps the biggest difference between old money and everyone else is how they think about success itself.
Habit number 10, they think in decades, not years. Most people ask, what can I buy this year? Old money asks, what will this decision look like in 20 years? This changes everything. Investing, business decisions, education, relationships. They're constantly making decisions for their future selves because they understand a simple truth. Small decisions repeated for decades become extraordinary outcomes. And that's exactly why they care so much about one thing most people ignore completely. Habit number 11, they build relationships, not networks. Many people network only when they need something. Old money thinks differently. They invest in relationships, trust, reputation, long-term goodwill. Because opportunities often come through people. Business deals, partnerships, advice, introductions. A good reputation compounds just like money does. And some wealthy families protect their reputation even more carefully than their investment portfolios. Which brings us to the final habit. And honestly, this might be the real reason old money survives for generations. Habit number 12, they see themselves as temporary stewards of wealth. This is the habit that changes everything. Old money doesn't think, this money belongs to me. They think, I am responsible for preserving and growing this for the next generation. It's a completely different mindset. They're not just building for themselves. They're building for children they may never meet, grandchildren they may never know, future generations they will never see.
That perspective changes spending, investing, risk-taking, everything. Because when money becomes a responsibility instead of an identity, you stop asking, what do I want right now? And start asking, what decisions create lasting prosperity? So what keeps families rich for generations? It's not secret bank accounts. It's not luck. It's not even high income. It's habits. Privacy over status. Time over appearances. Investing over impressing. Patience over impulse. Decades over months. And perhaps most importantly, thinking beyond yourself. Because old money isn't really about money. It's about perspective. The ability to make decisions today that benefit people you'll never meet. And maybe that's why truly wealthy families often look ordinary. Because while everyone else is trying to look rich today, they're quietly building something that can outlive them. And that may be the ultimate form of wealth.